the 166th episode of Genius Take the Wheel. I am Dr. Evil Genius.
And
The
this is the
guy over
first.
there, he's not really important. Let's do a little
Fair.
bit of housekeeping. If you're part of the replay gang, I salute you. Thank you so much for supporting this platform. Please drop a like if you think it's worth liking. Share it. Share this platform. I'm really trying to grow this platform, and so it would be like really cool if we can, grow this community a little bit. So, thank y'all so much for supporting. Captain Paul, talk to the people for a second. Tell them how you really feel.
We talk about the contract. We just talk about life because
Talking about life, man.
Talk about life. Well, first off, I feel like I'm not the right person for this podcast. I don't have my magic cap on. Secondly, no, but yo, I mean, life's good. I mean, life's good, man. Just working my ass off, and still making videos on the hockey channel. But like life is a continual fucking struggle, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, ain't that the truth? So, just taking it a day at a time in the shitty city of New Bedford, and just kind of taking it easy, man. So, what about you?
Yeah. So, I'm gonna give you guys a bit of an autopsy of today's excursion. Today was one of the very worst mental days I've had in the gym in all of 2024. Probably the worst mental day. I had no energy. I forgot to take my pre-workout this morning, and my knee has been bothering me for a while. And I had to go in there and say, you know what, I can't squat. I'm going to try to deadlift. And my body didn't really seem to want to cooperate on the deadlift. I ended up getting what I was supposed to get done on the deadlift, at least what I did last time, which was 3 sets of 3 at 335. I wanted to do 2 sets of 5 at 275, but I can only really get my body to do one more set. So it was very, very difficult. It took me a long time to get through it because I just kept constantly thinking about quitting. And it was just so incredibly difficult. I had to drop off the last set. But what I did do after that, I did some stiff leg deadlifts at 135 pounds, 3 sets of 10. They felt very easy, which I was very happy with. I did feel a pop in my lumbar spine. I felt some nerve issues running down my right leg again. Not to the point where they were before, but it was pretty fucking bad. As already stated this week, my left knee has really been a problem. So, my body's not cooperating. I've got no energy. I just, the whole time, I just felt like going to sleep the whole time.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking about what would be the consequences if I quit, and I did not get the work done. So I had to do a flat bench today, and I was hoping to do 5 sets of 3 at 245. I didn't even bother. So I did 5 sets of 5 at 225, which, even though I had no energy whatsoever, the bar moved very easily, and I was thankful for that. And then I was going to do the chest press with the 100-pound dumbbells, but I knew that I would have to like use more of my deadlift mechanics to get the dumbbells onto my legs to then sit down with them. And then the dumbbell would be on top of my left knee, which is in bad shape. So instead, I I went to this chest machine that I wanted to try, and I had 2 plates on each side, and I did 4 sets of 10, which I was very proud of. It sure hurt, but it hurt in a good way. But I was really proud of being able to kind of like just kind of weather the mental and physical storm because I just didn't have it. And I tell my clients all the time, you're not going to have it all the time, right? I've told you that, more than a year ago when you were training with me. You're not going to have your grade A best every time you step in the gym. But it's important to make sure that even if you're going to grade your energy a D, you grind that shit out. So I was really in bad mental shape and bad physical shape today. And it took me a hell of a long time to get through today's training. But I stuck with it. I got an enormous chest pump. No,
diddy.
and then, when you called to interrupt my training because, you're a selfish bastard that only cares about himself, I was doing the
Facts.
chest focus. I was doing the chest focus dips and, adding an extra rep per set and really
Now,
trying to get that deep stretch, focus on the chest. And so to get, the deadlift at the same level I had last week was a miracle. To hit 25 reps at 225 in the bench was nothing short of a minor miracle. And I really just had to make the decision before every set. Do I quit or do I grind it out? And that's really what life is, Life is like that. Everybody has a choice. You can get down on yourself and stay down, or you could try to push through the hard days, because I think that the really difficult days make it just a little bit easier to really enjoy the great days. And so today I just felt absolutely horrible. I felt horrible today, but I got maybe 95% of the work done that I intended to do when I got up this morning. And maybe 75% of the work that I intended to do before my left knee decided to crap out. So my left knee feels a lot better right now because I have not loaded it. Basically, what I read is that I was trying to lift too much weight too soon. Too many times per week.
Too weak.
So too much volume, too much resistance.
Soft.
Too many times. SAWFT, soft. So that's for all you wrestling fans out there. So I had to really, really dig down deep. Mrs. Eva understands, and
She definitely digging deep.
Huh?
No. Keep going.
Guys, sometimes you gotta dig down deep.
No diddy.
Definitely no diddy.
Yeah.
Because we're not talking about Meek Mill. Okay, so
Meek cheeks.
Yeah, we're not talking about Meek Mill's meek cheeks.
No.
Not at all. Okay, so Cap knows a lot about trying to get his ish together. We create content together on the Talking Shit podcast. If you haven't checked us out before, definitely check us out now. We would appreciate it. You'll appreciate checking out our perspectives on things in the world. So if one of my mods can drop the link to the podcast, also those who know the link to Captain Paul's hockey podcast. I know you guys don't give a shit about hockey, but give a
No,
shit about my guy,
that's crazy.
Captain
That's
Paul.
crazy. That's crazy. We need more white voices, you know. So
On black platforms, right?
yeah,
We need more representation.
that's crazy. Nah, man. I mean, by the way, I linked my YouTube channel to this, like the Locker Room channel. So I don't know if that shows up as a multi-stream or what, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But no,
But
man. I think I think just like in life, man, you're gonna have those days like in the gym. You're not gonna be feeling it. You have low energy, or you're just gonna be overworking yourself. It's like you gotta take it a day at a time
yeah,
and be intelligent about how you move.
yeah.
You know.
And I had to make some executive decisions about how I approach today, especially on the deadlift. Feeling some bad electrical signals in my right leg. I mean, it wasn't as bad as what I've been living with for like the last 16 weeks or so, but it was definitely something that I felt that definitely affected my force production.
Yeah.
So I had it's you know I had to really try to be very smart about what I chose to do today. And obviously I'm a very experienced coach, so I know how to coach myself in all ways except the bleeding edge of intensity some days. But yesterday I didn't feel like lifting. I showed up to the gym at like 9 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm not skipping today. So uh, so yeah, I really enjoy your content. Even when you don't want to make content, you do a good job in really providing some really good hockey analysis. And I was in your live stream earlier when you were talking about what's going on in the world of hockey and the demands of one Jeremy Swayman.
Yep.
Yes, we're going to talk a little hockey here on DEG.
This is
Genius,
how
take the wheel.
this is how equality is traded on our Black Run show. We're gonna include a white topic. I appreciate it. You got to hit the demographic.
Well, there's one particular white man that I'm pretty dissatisfied with, and you asked me if it would be a good idea for you to be, less, professional sounding with your content, because you had a problem with something that I had a problem with, and that is one, and we're not an anti-white platform here, but I definitely have a bone to pick with this white man, Igor Shesterkin. I've got a major bone to pick with this guy. Now, you were telling me that I was justified in him drawing my ire, in him drawing my ire. Would you want to let the people know why I was pissed off?
So Igor Shesterkin was offered an 8-year deal worth $88 million, essentially $11 million per year. Now, for other sports, well, that's not a lot of money, even though it's still a lot of money to the everyday person. But for the sport, that's a lot of money to invest in a goaltender. Just so people know, in the salary cap era, the highest goaltender per cap hit per year was Carey Price at 10.5. And I'm going to say
10.5 million. You can't just say 10.5 to my viewers. You have to say $10.5 million average annual value.
$10.5 million per year, right? I'll even say the per year to make it even simplified, And right. The problem I have is this is the honest conversation you can have. Carey Price, when he was offered that deal, yeah, he had that one magical run while he was injured to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning, right? But we don't talk about how dog shit his team was for years and years and years, where he was a great goaltender, one of the best. He should be a Hall of Famer on terrible teams. And he had the occasional okay team where they make maybe the first round, maybe make the second round, but there really wasn't a lot of playoff success for Carey Price because the team, after they offered him that deal, had less CapEx flexibility, to spend elsewhere on the roster. So they either had to get young, unproven guys that you hope hit, or older veterans that you're hoping can kind of be reclamation projects. So
or won't have a massive plus minus on your third and fourth line.
Well, and the problem I have with going to Igor, and the reason why I mentioned prices, that dude offered $11 million by the Rangers. That would be the highest of all time. That's a
Yeah.
really good fucking offer. And especially with the goaltending position, which is being devalued as time goes on because more teams are turning to the platoon role where you're not just going to have that one guy that plays like 60, 70
60
games.
games. Right.
They're going to probably be around 50, 55. You got a good enough backup so you can rest them. Right now, there is a difference between starter and backup talent, but the backups now are so good and so athletically gifted. You know, there's not this significant drop off there has been in years past, right?
Right.
Like in comparison, not to age myself, when Martin Brodeur, when he was playing with the New Jersey Devils, like he would play 60, 70 games in a season because his backup like wasn't that good, and they relied on
Brodeur.
well, and they relied on him being the number one. I mean, Lundqvist, guy they relied on to be the number one, even though he did have some good backups. He took the lion's share of the games. The problem I have with a guy like Igor Shesterkin is he's being greedy, and he cares more about his money than he cares about winning a championship, which is all well and good. At the end of the day, maybe he just cares more about the individual player, the individual bank account, I should say, than winning. Because
Can I
I'll say
interrupt
this,
you?
yeah,
Can I interrupt you, Cap? It's actually worse. It's worse than him just caring about his own money. He cares about money in the context of his ego. You see, when the Rangers offered him a record deal for a goaltender,
yeah,
his response was, "I want to be the highest paid player on the entire team." So
yeah.
when we have a guy who scores 1.2 points a game in Artemi Panarin, the dude had 120 points last season.
Yeah.
Hey, I just need to be paid higher than the guy that produces all of the goals and the assists on the team. Like, are you out? Like, you really want to go have a dick measuring contest with your own teammate? Like,
Yeah.
you think that like Cat? Do you think that his quality of life will be severely impacted on $11 million a year versus $11.7 million a year?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. There's no way there would be that much of a difference
The
in
selfishness
lifestyle.
is insane.
But I mean, it's just he cares more about money than he does about Stanley Cups. And I hate to say this, my battery's at 10%, so I probably will have to go here in probably a few. But
yeah,
I think when I'll just kind of summarize why I kind of have a problem with it is like Igor Shesterkin, he understands what's going on. And instead of just taking the $11 million per year, which I think is still like you could justify that in some sense. Like, oh, he's been the best goalie or considered top 5 in the NHL, whatever. So I'm like, okay, fine. If Jeremy Swayman, Ullmark are getting 8.25, maybe you could say, yeah, is Shesterkin worth maybe a few million more? Maybe. So, but the Rangers were willing to pay him $11 million. He was unwilling to take that, and that's the crazy part.
Insane.
That's the crazy part. He wants more than Panarin, and that's just, you know, goalies aren't as valuable as everyday players. Now, you need a good goaltender, but you do not need a great goaltender to win a Stanley Cup. Adin Hill for the Vegas Golden Knights was a backup to a backup before he got elevated, and he got hot during the playoffs in front of a very good team, or behind a very good team, I should say, and they won a Stanley Cup. Now, Bobrovsky was paid $10 million. He was paid $10 million by the Florida Panthers. What people don't want to mention, though, is early on in that contract with the Florida Panthers, that contract was looking horrific. And then Bobrovsky kind of revitalized his career, had a very good run that one year where he lost. Then he goes back the next year and they win.
And now they're champions.
So you can justify that, Cap. It would make sense. It's actually, I consider, with what the Florida Panthers are doing outside of those bigger contracts, they're one of the best run organizations in all of the NHL. That's a video I'm going to be making today.
Right.
I think if Shesterkin wants to win, he would have took the $11 million deal. He's more concerned about ego, money and just being the highest paid player on the Rangers. And to me, that is just going to be the beginning of the downfall. And if I'm the New York Rangers, as blasphemous as might sound to some people, I'd be open to dealing him. That's the thing. Like, if there is nobody in their pipeline right now that they could replace Shesterkin. So, I don't know. Like, do you consider dealing Shesterkin for a good goaltender prospect?
Well, I mean, for me, I just, it's more than him just wanting the money. He just doesn't sound like a team player anymore. And, do you remember the amount of money that I said should be, and of course, this is before the salary cap went up $3 or $4 million like it just did. But last season, what was the number that I gave you for the max amount of money a player should ask for if you're one of the best players on the team? What is the max amount of money that a player should try to get if they want to win a Stanley Cup with last year's salary cap?
I think it was like 7 or 7.5.
$7.5 million. Now, with the salary cap going up, what was it, like $3.5, $4 million or something like that?
Yeah, and they're expecting it to go up $3 million each year.
Right. So you can make the caveat that 8 or 8.5 with the current salary cap should be the absolute max. When you tell me that you want to get into a dick measuring contest with the most important player on your team in Artemi Panarin, the breadman himself.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that you don't care about the team and you really don't care about winning a Stanley Cup. And I said this in your stream earlier, Cap. If he would be essentially doubling his salary. I think he had like a $5.665 million AAV before.
Yeah.
If he would be essentially more than doubling his salary. Do you think that he's going to double his effectiveness as a goaltender now? Do you think he's all of a sudden going to try his best now?
This is the biggest problem, right? This is the problem I have with the Bruins paying a guy like Swayman 8.25. I think that's
I wish my team paid the goaltender that was able to pay the goaltender that amount now.
I mean, I get that because Shesterkin's asking for stupid money. Goaltenders as a whole, they're important, but they're not the most important piece. Like, you need good pieces around them because you're gonna have a world-class goaltender, but unless you're like a Hall of Fame type guy like Dominic Hasek, or even Brodeur had good teams, even Wall had good teams, when he had good years, but you're not going to be wildly successful in that unless you're on a great team. You're just not. So, what's more important, the goalie or the actual defense and forwards in front of him?
Yeah.
And to me, that's why I don't think goalies should exceed a certain cap hit. Because, I mean, most of the goalies that make a ton of money, I mean, look at Hellebuck, right? For the Connor Hellebuck for the Winnipeg Jets, which your fans probably won't even know who the fuck that is because they play for the Winnipeg Jets. He's considered one of the best goalies.
But it is a very funny name, so.
He's one of the best goalies in the world. I mean, but even with how great he is, his team's always first round exits because the team's never that. It's not great. It's a good team, but not a great team. So, but my phone's dying here. So I'm hoping you didn't mind a little bit of a hockey talk on the drive.
Yeah, of course. But I know that you and I are pretty passionate about our stance against the selfishness of Igor Shesterkin. And I just also wanted to, there are people on this platform that care about you and they know what you've been through. I've talked about what you've been through over the summer and all of that. So people are happy to see you, Cap.
I appreciate that. And we're going to be getting back to doing actual live shows too.
On the podcast.
So
I mean, I already do live shows on the podcast. It's just that
listen, but it wasn't in my contract at first. We're working out that deal, people, because unfortunately it was in my contract. Only black people could be on the live shows, and unfortunately I'm very pale. So me and him are working out the terms of our new contract, so I'll be allowed on the live shows.
This is a black-owned business that supports white people like Cap here.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming on, and maybe we'll have you on a few more times to talk about life and fitness and the whole bit, man. It'd be a really cool thing.
Yeah, man. Shit, you called me. I'm actually been on like a 3 mile walk at this point. I'm just trying to start to get back into that good shape, man. And once my money gets right, maybe we'll do some personal training videos. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, of course, because you are definitely in a shape.
Yeah.
I just don't know what I would call that shape right now.
Well, that's called rough shape. So, but sounds sounds good, man. But yo, you have a good rest of your stream, man. I'll catch you later, buddy.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Later.
All right. Yep, that was my boy Captain Paul doing Captain Paul things. Yeah, I'm a guy that likes hockey. I love hockey. I love my New York Rangers. I just don't like the state of where the team is as far as, you know, who they are relative to who they were last year. And I really don't love how the goaltender, really has, really has just positioned himself as a prima donna above all else. And I'm just very unhappy about that. So, um, but yeah, I wasn't very happy with how I went in the gym today. Um, I know I will have better days. Having a really bad day like this lets me know that what I actually need to do is I need to take a deload. So tomorrow I'm going to do a nice vigorous back day. I'm going to hit that row like a grown ass man. And starting on Monday, I am going to really start to, give my body a little bit of a respite. Not necessarily saying that I won't lift at all, but uh, the weight is going to be much much lower, and um, the intensity is going to be a lot lower. I'm going to spend a lot less time in the gym next week, so that I can kind of start to feel good again. So I did feel a little bit of a pop in my lumbar spine on the deadlift today, but no pain came with it. I did not have any issues with range of motion. I didn't feel any weakness in my leg or anything like that. So for all I know, it's probably just a little bit of air that escaped from a little bit of air that escaped from the joints, and so um, um, I'm gonna see how that works. But I'm glad that I didn't give up. But today just felt so much harder than it had to be. Shout out to the people of I know I'm switching gears here. Shout out to the people of Florida. It seemed like a lot of people heeded the warnings. And when you heed the warnings, when it comes to public emergencies and public health, and everybody takes their proper precautions, within the amount of time that would be necessary to see the benefits of it, good things can happen. And I understand that there were up to 17 people that didn't make it, and I think that's really bad. But I think that Hurricane Milton could have been so much worse as far as the death toll. Obviously, we don't know how much physical damage the storms did, but um, um, okay, he's not paying attention. I tried to let him in. and he wasn't paying attention. All right. So um, 17 lives is still 17 too many. But I think that if people treated the warnings to get out of that part of Florida or those parts of Florida, if they treated those warnings the way that they treated the Rona, a lot more people would have lost their lives. So I'm just very thankful that people paid attention. Um, I'm just glad that the people paid attention and did what they needed to do to get out of that area. So obviously there's going to be billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars of damages there, but I think that it's good that um, that that storm was looking like it was going to have a historic toll on the state of Florida, and I'm glad that did not come to fruition. I did actually turn to the Weather Channel for the first time in years, um, to see what the storm was going to be looking like. They were talking about you know going in the direction of a Category 6, and to see that the storm actually started to die down the closer that it got to the western coast of the Florida Panhandle. And then it went ashore at, I think, a Category 3. They were talking about Category 6, like in the movies. But it went from Category 5 down to 4, down to 3, and then when it made its way across Florida, it was like a Category 1, and then when it kind of went away, um, it was like a subtropical depression, going off into the Atlantic Ocean. But we're getting like these crazy storms, man, and I talked to Mrs. Eva. I'm like, yo, any dream that I had of moving to Florida, those dreams are dead. I cannot see myself trying to go move to Florida, when, everything that you put into your life can just be washed away with some 100-mile-an-hour winds, and basically the ocean falling down out of the sky. So, you know, I'm glad that the people took the warning seriously. I saw that one woman drove from Ohio to Florida to get her grandmother, her 93-year-old grandmother, out of harm's way, you know, out of the path of the storm. So, good on everybody that took it seriously, and hopefully, in the future, people will continue to take health emergencies seriously. You know. So the guy that I was gonna let in the traffic is now trying to bully his way in front of me when I was gonna let him in front of me before, but he wasn't paying attention. And I tell you guys, I've told you guys before, you know, New York City actually could be the greatest city in the world. It really could. But we have so many short-sighted, selfish people that live here and work here. And I do think that it's a culture that it kind of folds in on itself and folds over because, like, this asshole next to me right here, um you know, he probably had somebody cut him off too, right? Um, and then you know, he learned a bad lesson. You know, he learned to be, and he just cut off a bus. He almost just caused an accident in front of me just now. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Um, and I try to slow down my anger, but it's really difficult. You know, the selfishness, you know, the willingness to destroy your property or harm you in some way because they only care about themselves. You know, and then we wonder why we get, you know, athletes here that come to New York and they only care about themselves. You know, lessons from the Three Little Piglets. I mean, when you look at top down images from, it doesn't matter if you built it from bricks, straw, or loogies. Um, Milton was a huge problem, and I'm just happy that it's not as bad as it definitely could have been. It really could have caused some really big problems. Anyway, I'm a hungry guy after a bad day in the gym. I want to thank you guys so much for supporting me and my platform. Please continue to support. I really would appreciate it. And all that stuff. Like, favorite, subscribe, the whole bit, and continue to keep working hard. I believe in y'all. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for coming through here week after week. And I will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much.